Should be. Okay, it's 8:18 in the morning. We'll open the 1 week postponed regular meeting for July of the Lake City Historic Preservation Commission. We have a roll call. Kenny?
Not going to be here. No.
Text. Text. He's around.
Yeah, he should be here.
I thought I'd messed up. I came up so early, unusual. I came over to over at this lock. Maybe I didn't read Joe's text right into it. It was.
He may be tied up now. He's working about. I just texted him. We can go ahead and do a roll call, or
Go ahead. We need to start. Yeah.
okay. Mike
Here.
Judd
Here.
Joe
Here.
Jared here.
Have Ben Hake as a guest here. Is there anybody on?
No.
Okay. Do we need? Well, if we have to go back and have Kenny here for 3 minutes, we'll do that. But let's just go through and approve minutes, and I know you have a correction to one.
Right. A special meeting in the header, it should be dated. Kenny's on his way. Should be dated 11 June.
Not 70. Well, let's wait for Kenny to do the minutes, and in that case, we'll postpone those a little bit. And since Ben is here, let's just take up the first, his as the first COA application. He's proposed a change to the design of the building that was approved last year. Why don't you just explain briefly what the change is and what it's
I don't want to build more than one more house. And I don't want the town to get $200 a month from me for water and sewer for the rest of my life. So I wanted to just put two together and be done with it. So I just changed that to an L, like an L shape, instead of just the one section. So it's just like 1,200 square feet or something like that, still, even with that added on. And that's about it. Windows the same as any of the other places I build, those skinny little shooting Barbie, little 2x5s or whatever they are. And I don't know what else you need to know. I see lots of L-shaped, even in a historic district, I see L-shaped houses. They might be little smaller things, or even red wagon windows. That's another, well, it's not open, but it's L-shaped.
Any initial comments from any of you folks?
I know a concern was expressed about gables on the front portion. But other than that, my perspective. Hey, Kenny.
Apologies.
Okay, I mean, I had a brief talk with Ben, and I brought that up with him also. I mean, you mentioned when we talked of someplace, either was it Gaudi's or across from Gaudi's. I couldn't find what you were talking about.
That little one on, yeah, straight across the side street from Gowdy there. that
Which
little-
Gaudi?
The one on Gunnison Avenue. The old Cinnamon Inn.
Oh, yeah, okay.
It's a little tiny L. If
Well,
you
that's
drive
a small L.
Yeah.
No, my concern was, and I think you're bringing up the red wagon is a good point. That is an L, very similar in shape, and the long,
Yeah, and I saw another historic one somewhere down Silver yesterday. I can't remember where I was. And it was a historic house. Might have been in the back alley.
there are a few, all of them have incorporated in them some kind of a gable on that long portion. Whether it's a functional thing with an entrance or something like that. I mean, and the Red Wagon is an example, and they actually use the gable on the long part of the L as an entrance. And the big gable part is just the backside of the building. This question came up when the county came with the operations building, and we asked that they incorporate gables on that long portion that goes towards the old courthouse. So that's my only comment would be, I don't know whether you want any entrances along that part or not. It looks like yours entrances are going to be off the alley.
Yeah, there's one in the front on the one gable that's facing heads.
The big gable.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, my suggestion would be to ask you to incorporate just some kind of, at least one gable. I don't know whether to call it decorative or not, but in terms of following the guidelines, which state that we incorporate a front gable building with steep pitched roof into the primary facade. You have that on the original lot that you were talking about, but with that long L portion, that would have been my only comment. So I want to hear from others whether that's a reasonable suggestion or not.
I think it's reasonable.
To me, I'm just kind of curious, what are you exactly saying it should be? That's what y'all,
All I'm saying is that
I just want a little clarification of what I'm saying here.
I personally, and I think this group likes the designs that Ben has been putting up for his base camp.
Yep.
And especially the materials and the accoutrements to it and so on. I think it's great. My simple suggestion is that I'm not sure where that old one is that you're talking about, but the operations building, the red wagon, the other ones that I looked at where there's a long thing right on a major street, and yours was Benson Street. And I remember when, there was a new building. Don't remember what number street it is, 6th or 7th or something like that. There was a new building put up and they proposed a roof because it was a very small lot, roof facing say it was 6th, I think it's 7th, say it was 7th Street. And we asked that they incorporate a gable into that, just a small gable. And that's just to go with the looks and the request within the guidelines to have gables facing the road. That's all. Is that,
It's all the extra cost it adds, and when I build, I try to do simple. And it's like, I don't like gables. Like, it's okay if it's on like the front of the house, but if you add one into a roof line, then you had all those valleys you just added, that are gonna give you trouble down the road. It's just a pain.
Well, I mean, the county did it without, I mean, I just rode by there to look at how they did that. They're not functional in terms of having an entrance or anything like that there. They don't make, I don't think they make, problematic valleys and things like that, the way they had them come off. And then the way the roofs come down, everything still goes off towards the road.
Well, no, I'm saying like up there in the roof where you have to join the roof together, all those valleys that are running down through there always give you problems with ice and stuff in the winter time. And that's why I don't like them. If you're just adding something that there's no functional reason for it. Besides just the look.
Okay, well, it's the look that we're discussing here and what the guidelines ask for.
So my next question is then, how long of a L can you have before you don't?
Well, then that's a good question. Yours is a pretty long L.
Are these drawn to scale?
Yeah, sure.
What's the overall length of the building? Just curious.
It's like, some of that I can only get 14 on those two lots, but it's like 50 on the one side facing with the gable end, and I think it's another 40 this way. It's
So
like
the Henson
50
Street
feet.
view is 50.
It's like probably 54 or something wide or something like that. From one side to the other.
Okay.
I'm just going with memory. I think that's about it.
Guessing that section that has the gables like 18 feet or something.
It's
Something
14 by 50.
There is one other building on Henson Street that incorporates that's about the same overall length as yours. That has one gable in it, but they incorporate it, they moved it down. It's not the same as your design. So that there's a gable within it, but there's some of the building off to the right and then a longer portion off to the left. That would be the closest to what you're talking about there. All I'm doing is bringing this up in terms of what the guidelines say. And I'm not adamant about this one way or the other, but we need to hear what others think about this. If we approve this, it would be different than what we've been asking other people to do.
Is question I've got is, are you saying like, or your recommendations, and I'm also what, and this is Jared too, is, are you saying like one gable on the one story on the north side? Is that what are you?
No. I'm talking about what faces the public on Henson Street.
On Henson Street? Okay, Jim, is that, would be that? Is
Show
that?
me what you're showing them.
It's
Yes, that long thing.
Yeah, right. I'm just, what my question is and also, anybody's opinion on it is, are you saying one gable, or are you saying multiple gables? What do you?
I think one would be enough. I mean, the courthouse the county did two.
It's a bigger building too,
It's a bigger building.
and it's state.
Yeah.
Different funding.
Because it wouldn't even have a window in the top or anything. It would just be a non-functioning thing.
Yeah.
It would serve no purpose. And the roof line is so low, because it's 6'12". I mean, it would be tiny.
But that's what the county did.
They have money too. I've been told that normally you add at least 10,000, and that was 20 years ago. So I don't know what they cost now.
Yeah, some people had dormers. I mean, you're not going up high enough. I mean, that would probably function.
Get the gable, you'd have a wall that 8 feet high, and then you'd have another roof going into your other one in the back. So you'd be as high as the main roof on that section of the house, the peak of the peak of the gable.
Maintain the same design. Or that section, I guess it's for that whole innovation, that entire side of the business center. True.
No, to a certain extent, I would wish that the view of your place from the west side was what was facing the east to the public there. It's more broken up and so on,
Or even the south elevation.
or even the south elevation.
It's just a little more complex.
All I'm bringing up is that if it was approved as he's proposed it there, we would be approving something that goes against the guidelines. Yeah. We've already asked people and seen it accepted that gables be incorporated into parts of buildings that face the main public road that the building is facing, and that's what the guidelines are asking for.
And as we like relax our interpretation of the guidelines, the next one relaxes it a little more, and the next one relaxes it a little more. And it effectively just complicates what we do and undermines the guidelines generally.
I mean, which to a certain extent, we should have had this conversation with Ben earlier on in discussion with him. I mean, he could have alternatives to the design of the building to think about the incorporation of that. But I mean, he's right that just adding a gable form into it without a strong function to it is a little bit weird. But that's essentially, if you look at what the county did on their place, that's what they did on the basis of requests from the Historic Preservation Commission to fit in with a building that looked good next to the courthouse. There aren't.
Are you gonna do any porch on that Winston Street elevation
Yeah, the one
along the length of it, or just
that,
underneath the
just on
gable?
that right end.
I wondered if you could. I mean, we're not. Our job isn't to like redesign,
Right.
but
So the porch sticks out away from, I mean, the L part is flush with the front of the gable
Or
part.
it's back,
It's back a
the yellow
little.
part's back a foot or two.
Okay, that's,
so in the south elevation along, it's somewhat similar to the elevation that we're discussing. It has another porch that covers that entry,
Well, the backside.
right? And like, clearly, like if you just put a secondary roof there at a different pitch, like it would certainly break that up a bit. It might, it's not another gable, but it does break up that long. I sort of think chicken coop when I see these long stretch buildings, which is not a bad thing.
So
there's what?
there's no door there.
Exactly.
Yeah,
But if there were, so there's not going to be any kind of decking or porch
No,
underneath
just
those
on that
windows.
the right side.
Does that could be a way to
that could be a way.
fix it? Like if there were a deck, low railing, and then another, chairs on it, and then another secondary roof that came off of that 612. It was, a 312 or something. And I realized like we're adding problems.
We're adding stuff to it, the way you designed it. I mean, the problem I see for this commission down the road is that if that gets approved the way it is, it will be it will be impossible to say no to people putting that in other parts of the historic district. And I don't think it's appropriate. So any other way you could think of breaking up that long line?
So I was making it shorter than that defeats the purpose.
Yeah, right. No, like I say, I really like the looks of all the other elevations. But that's the one that faces the main public street there.
Another question I've got is, I appreciate both of the comments there is, when you, on the example of how the, court, the addition of the courthouse was, what about a much smaller, dormer? In other words, where, the example that you're showing or this might nice for the courthouse,
Yeah.
that's a long way to see, but say it goes all the way to the front.
Just hold it still, like you see.
Okay, all right.
What, so,
Well, the point is,
point,
what about having a much smaller one to break it above wherever they want to on there? In other words, it would still break it. Um, You see them like over, sometimes
Are
like
you
a,
talking about a dormer or something like that?
well,
That doesn't have any windows or anything. Right?
that, I'm not even saying, I'm just saying a much smaller, like on your picture, your roof is here, okay?
Yeah.
Just use this for example, is these dormers pretty much come from here up. But for the ones you like, what about a much smaller one, more like a decorative than aesthetics, then, and they're not going to be practical anyway.
Well, I mean, if he had a second story there, a dormer would make sense with a window in it up there. But
Yeah, but what I'm saying, I'm using that is just think of a dormer, but it's much smaller. You know, I can see over like the garage sometimes,
yeah,
where it's the function is to keep the snow from going over is, but even smaller, it wouldn't even have to be because it's a non-functional.
but I don't think that solves Ben's problem. With scans collecting. I think
No, but it would solve, it would minimize two problems. One, it'd be much smaller, less expensive, and also by being less expensive, and it even could be more up on ridge, that it could also be being smaller, it's going to be less of a problem.
I mean, that roof height is only like 3.5 feet from the top of the wall to the peak of the roof. So even if you put something there, it wouldn't even look like anything. It's such a tiny little thing. It's just adding problems.
Yeah, I don't think breaking up the roof is likely the answer if this is like, if it stays designed like this. I think adding some other element to break up that long, sort of long section that's 30 something feet. It's 36 feet long. Seems like that's probably the best solution. Save redesigning the whole thing, which no one wants you to have to do that. You don't want to do that.
Takes too long to think about that.
Yeah. um,
It's also a lot more difficult to add a porch to a roof face rather than going straight into the side of a house.
would you consider doing a secondary roof? Well, maybe not the entire length, but portion of it. You know, your sitting space out there, maybe. Could be useful.
Yeah, that's why I put them in the back, just because that's where it's just easier to put them back there.
Well, I understand the practicalities for that. You have more private space in the back to have all those things. But, I mean, I just think down the line with this organization, uh, it's not a good thing to approve things that go against what the design guidelines are. And, um, yeah, we should have had a talk with you earlier on with regard to your thinking on this stuff. One of the things that the guidelines also ask is that it fits in with other buildings on that block. It makes a big deal about the block, but there isn't much on that block.
We don't like snap together houses.
Yeah, right, exactly.
What's the overhang of that roof we're talking about?
Oh, on the front side,
Yeah.
On the Henson side?
Yeah.
it's usually like a foot and a half, something.
And is it so, and then on the west elevation, is it, looks like is it the same on the west
It would be the
elevation?
same
On
thing,
the other side,
except for the porches
but
change.
you're adding porches on.
Yeah,
It's just is it 8-foot wall or 9-foot wall? I'm guessing it's 8.
I'm doing eights.
I was thinking like if that roof continued on and then it was supported by posts, something attractive, that could,
It's so low, it's
I
like.
know,
like-
I know, and you end up with sub-8.
Yeah.
That's not that great.
No, I can see, it's not an easy thing to figure out what would make sense here. I wish we had this discussion at the beginning when you were thinking about the whole thing and what the guidelines are asking for facing Henson Street. That's all.
Okay, so if I would flip, I'm just trying to picture this in my head. If I would flip that floor plan around on that section that's coming out that way, to make the doors dump out on the front street and put that porch on the front street, you think that's all right? Say that again.
Changing the west elevation for
Flip it the
east.
whole way around in the other direction, so that porch on the back is now facing the front.
That would ameliorate the concern that we have from if I was in your position, I mean, those porches back in that private area in there, I think makes it much nicer for your guests and so on.
It does, and then if you flip the porch to the front, now you're on the east facing side.
You're on the public
Yeah, yeah.
street. Yeah, right.
Well, I'm saying it's just bad for snow to melt and stuff like that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I do everything where snow's gonna melt.
Uh,
But, so if I would flip that around somehow, get that porch on the front, you think that's okay then?
It would be way better.
would be way just better in terms of the look.
Like it's
And when people come into Lake City and seeing old buildings that fit in with the old Victorian and other buildings that are here, yes, that would be a better look. How practical it is for your whole thing there, I'm not sure. Yeah.
Okay, so,
So what's the clearance for that porch? Like the edge of the roof? At the tip
oh,
of
it
the
would
east?
be like 7.5 feet or
Is that
something.
what it's gonna be on the north side right now? Okay,
Yeah,
so it could be done, just put on the other side.
yeah, I think so. It'll change like the door inside that other section.
Yeah.
Do some weird stuff there. Okay, I was trying to hurry this thing along so you don't want to hold you guys up.
No.
If you're not against the L, and I know I can, if possible, just dig that other part of the foundation next month or whatever, and you're not gonna stop an L that size, I'll go back and look and see if I can flip the whole thing around and then bring it back to you again.
If you're willing, if we could work with us on that, yes.
As long as I don't have to build another porch, that changes a lot. Like I can take the porch I was building in the back and build it in the front.
We could go there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, well then let me do that then. Because I didn't want to have land that dig and then something change later.
Right.
I know I can sort of do that, and he might not even be able to do it.
And could we just make an addendum to an approval so that you don't have to come back to us, so that he doesn't have to come back?
It's pretty black and white if we agree about the reversing. I mean, that's stated. It's not like he can.
As long as we all perfectly understand like what is being proposed here, but Joe
It's a little bit unusual, but we already know how Ben works with Gabe on all this stuff.
Yeah.
And,
And realize the windows are gonna change probably. Because if the front comes to the back, it'll just be flipping the floor plan. I don't know what the windows, I can't picture in my mind what the windows are.
I think we're okay with the L, so you can make a building that prevents you from having to make two and pay all that extra stuff. That's, I mean, I'm quite willing to see you be able to make that work. And I mean, what you're talking about won't change the location of where you need to dig and stuff.
No, but you'll get like probably an egress window on the front side rather than a skinny one. Maybe just walk.
Yeah, this is the important stuff to know, yeah.
Yeah, so it'll just look a little bit different. But then the porch hides a lot of that too. Don't even notice stuff like that.
Right.
Actually, after think is we need to, I'm totally liking what I'm in the compromise, I appreciate, but I think we need to actually see it going. Because that, I mean, just,
We need to, I think you're right, we need to see a rough drawing here, and that's what, I mean, Gabe needs to see too. I know you can describe it to him better than most people, but,
and it could be fairly rough,
yeah,
just as long as like the basic concept is understood. But like you're gonna do, yeah, I don't think we're gonna have an issue with the windows you choose. Like that's never a
I
problem.
mean, it'll be the same ones. It's just the fact that the ones in the back
Different
are coming to the
places.
front.
yeah.
But yeah, I can bring you stuff. You don't need to approve anything. Like I'm not that much of a rush, especially now since there's fires. So yeah, as long as I know if Landon has time, he can dig the hole, and then I'll bring you back a different picture of that
Okay,
section.
then that sounds great.
Yeah.
And, I mean, our next, since this meeting is almost through the middle of July, our next meeting is just gonna be in two to 3
Okay.
weeks. That, I think that can work fine.
Okay.
And so right now, then, we won't make a formal motion or anything. We're agreeing with the applicant here to postpone this until the next meeting. Does that make sense?
I'll try to get you a picture.
With the understanding that, yeah, I mean, I don't think we say formally, but the location of that L is going to be the same place that you can do things.
Okay. Okay, that'll work.
Okay, thank you very much for coming.
See you.
It's been.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I like compromises like that. Okay, let's go back to approving minutes. The first one is from the 7th of April. Are there any comments, corrections, anything with regard to the
None. None.
If none, then let's have a roll call vote on approval of the.
Jerry? Probably, yeah. Oh, you want me to do a roll call? I guess I started it, but.
Yeah.
Is that
Is it appropriate for anybody to do roll call
I
or,
don't think so.
or should it be the secretary generally?
That way it's not clear.
Yeah. We were without a secretary for a while and I got a habit. So, trying to catch up.
Vote to approve the minutes of 7 April 2026. Jared,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Kenny,
Yes.
Judd,
Yes.
Mike, yes.
Okay, next one is a regular meeting on the 2nd of June. And that's the one that has the correction. Or is that right? Or is it a special meeting?
That was the special meeting at the correct
Okay,
date.
the 2nd of June, are there any, comments on that one? The corrections.
That was not a normal sign.
Right, that's the one that Judd and I cooperated on. Putting together. Okay, then let's hold a roll call vote on approval of those minutes.
No, so approving the minutes from 2 June 2026. Jared,
Yes.
Judd,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Kenny.
Do I approve if I wasn't there?
Yes.
No,
You can't.
Okay.
you just
I'll abstain.
abstained.
That's what I thought, but I had to ask. Guys, you're talking so much.
Nobody's paying attention.
I don't like to predict, but I haven't seen it, right?
Okay, and the last one is the special meeting. Make it, what's the date on that? Is that the 11th of June?
11th of June to 2026.
Okay. And that has the correction at the heading
Yeah, the header needs to be corrected.
to 11th of June. Okay. Given that correction, are there any other corrections or comments with regard to those minutes? And was everybody here for that?
I was not.
You were not, right?
Approving 11 June 2026 minutes. Joe,
Yeah, approved.
Judd, Kenny, approved. Mike, approved. Jared.
Okay. Next one, we'll take up Kenny's COA 2020. Oh, I see I've got wrong dates on these. They should be 2026. Will I have the right thing here? Yeah. Wrong dates on the agenda. So we changed that to 2026-14. The deck replacement, new storm door, new shed. I think this one's straightforward. Does anybody need any clarification as to what he's doing there? If there's any, yeah, do you have any? I'm open. I know.
Pretty spectacular.
Because then he'll stay here if we have any questions, but then he needs to go out while we discuss them.
Any questions for me before I exit? All right. Gonna recuse myself.
I didn't realize. Okay, why don't one of you go over what your report recommendation is? And that explains so everybody hears what it's about.
I didn't say.
Well, we sent out our report. Basically, it's a 3-pronged request. He wants to refurbish his deck. He wants to have.
So it's the deck doesn't change, it doesn't change the size or anything, it's just,
Nothing changed. In terms of materials, design, it's the same exact thing.
so to a certain extent, that kind of thing would be considered just maintenance. depends, sometimes there's a fine line, but it's included in here and it's fine.
Okay. He wants to add a storm door to the main door facing 4th Street, which is going to match the door that he's already got on Gunnison Avenue. And he wants to add a 3-sided woodshed in the back of the property, which is going to match his garden shed, and it's going to match his, except he's going to put a metal roof on it, which is going to match the caps,
It's 3-sided because the 4th side is where,
because it's a woodshed. So
So
you can load
wood
it.
or firewood. So the opens, so you can get to the fire.
You've got a picture of it in here.
okay, anyway. I think I've seen it, yeah.
Okay.
And the recommendation is,
Our recommendation is to approve.
and all the information is in the application itself. There's
Yes.
no extra stuff that you put in the report about what's going on that you talked to him about. So we
All the
can,
information is in the application.
Okay.
It's.
then we can entertain a motion that simply says to approve the application as proposed.
Okay.
Somebody needs to do that.
I make a motion to approve COA 2026-14, the Howard's deck replacement, new storm door shed,
As proposed.
as proposed.
Okay, we have a motion,
Second.
we have a second.
Roll call.
Any last comments or questions with regard to that motion? Then let's have a roll call vote on that motion.
Jared? Yes. Joe?
Yes.
Mike? Yes. Judd?
Yes.
Okay.
I just want, I appreciate you making us safe. The only reason is, I had no problem, is that I think it's nice to have it where it's not necessarily the two people.
Well, it was a difficult one.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Hey, did
I would just
you
call
make
me.
changes I didn't write down?
That's what I asked about.
There actually is, it's not a change to the design. I did ask for there's an ability to 6 months on the application when you, says that when I turned it into the town, they put a sticky note on it. So I don't know if you guys need to consider that.
That's one of the things that needs to be changed in our bylaws.
Okay.
So we were already, these things last longer than it says. on
Right.
that.
Well, anyway, that was the only thing I'd asked for was the 6 month to go ahead and consider it. But other than that, nothing else on the design.
No, but that's a good point.
I don't know that I'll get it all done for next summer.
I can't write that.
Some things are easy, and some things aren't.
Jared, I definitely wasn't laughing at you with that statement. That was a mirror.
So, I mean,
I wasn't laughing at you on your statement. That was a mirror me looking and said, you commented on that at the time. Well, that was just,
we've had some brief discussions about this. What are your thoughts on how permanent, how long lasting we should, it makes sense to have these, once these applications are approved, how long do people have?
Let me ask you a question. Is it start or finish, right? So if it's how long to start or how long to finish? So I think that's the question at hand. If we've got a 1 year, validity period, if it's the start date, then okay. But then you've got this unmitigated tail, right? Of time that could happen.
I think we need to make it,
well,
It's probably the consideration. Well, once you're started, it's kind of
some things that you do, you don't start, you need to start it and finish it
Yeah.
in a relatively short time. You don't want to start and have a year or more go by.
Well,
Some projects are more complex.
Some
than
take
others.
longer.
But I think, I remember at one meeting some time ago, people were suggesting, that people should have years to do this. Does that make sense?
okay, what I would like to have a certain amount of time, to start that's realistic, not like short. And then it seems to me as once a project is started in like 18 months is a long time. That's over a year and a half, so I'm just saying on my point is if we had something and if there's extenuating circumstances on the project size that could be, adjusted. But to me, I think we should have something, and the reason on the start is because of our weather situations. That's the reason I'm thinking that, but I do think we should have once you're approved, the start date, you do reapply. If someone doesn't do that, and then on the other end, there should be once something started, having.
So are you saying, I mean, so it's approved today? When do they need to start from what you're saying?
Well, that's, I would think that, they got an improvement in, this year, was late September. October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May. But even on that, you're talking about almost, because if somebody hadn't started doing any digging or anything. November is normally the cutoff for digging, okay? And in Lake City, it's by the town. So you could back it up on that is where I'm kind of coming from. So that's,
It depends on when it gets approved.
Well, then,
And I'm sorry.
well, I was just saying, let me ask you questions I don't know. If we're talking about things that require building permits through GATE, do those have a validity period, first off? If they do, then if we have an approved COA and we have an approved building permit that has a validity period, they should probably match, right? If you're talking about maintenance or small additions, okay, then maybe there's a different time scale we need to consider. I'm thinking about like your case you got, or or anybody else who's got to go pull a permit. Is there a cap on the duration of those where they're going to be completed? If so, then we should probably keep the COA open to match those, that expiration date on anything that's permitted. Not just a thought.
I can just tell you that the way my insurance company works, right, they had a completion date, but they also said, understanding there's extenuating circumstances, we just want to make sure that the work is continuing. And my guys are coming out today to inspect the project. So as long as the work has some momentum to it and is continuing, then we can go ahead and extend that expected finish date. It's just, putting a new woodshed is a different project.
Yes. I do like what Kidney suggests. I think we should check with what guidelines Dave has. And I do like second one and one after something. We have the same.
No, for example, I can think of one place where work was approved and the owners did much of it, but not all of it. 5 or 6 years later, all of a sudden, stuff was going on and it was a little different than was approved. The town did not, I mean, they did other things than what was approved, but the town didn't do anything to alter that.
This conversation would be a problem. If somebody else wants to agree, I'll do it to check with Gabe and just bring that up what he has, and then we continue this. I think this is very pertinent.
Right, we're not gonna make a decision right now, I just brought it up, but there's some changes to our bylaws that were either in the bylaws or what's written on the application form, we need to change, yes.
What's the general consensus suggested with,
Oh, we need to talk to Gabe before we make it.
okay. I'm just trying to make sure.
We need to have a meeting, there's several things we need to have a meeting with Lex and Gabe about.
So is that the primary concern with having an open-ended timeline, completing a project that gets us COA? Is that what gets built may be different and go unnoticed? Is that?
Do that, or somebody has the impression that the COA is open forever and they can just keep doing stuff. I mean, that's the other.
So what's the risk of it being open forever? I guess
Well,
that's what we should.
Reinterpretation of potentially what was approved. I mean, I'm just throwing out ideas on, deviations from that. Hey, that's been so long.
Well,
Nobody's going to go back and look kind of thing.
The other thing that we've run into is that with so many changes in staff at the town, including town managers,
Just continuity.
well, the continuity, and they did not keep good records. They couldn't, when we asked them to find this COA that was approved
Yeah.
a certain time ago, they couldn't find it.
I mean, I think time bounding is appropriate. It's the, do we have different time bounding for new construction or permitted construction versus things that maybe don't have to get permitted that are minor adjustments or whatnot? Maybe it's a 2-year cap or something that, they take into consideration the building times with winter and all that, giving a little bit more grace. Or you keep it where it is, which is, it's a year plus you can ask for a year extension. Like when I came, I said.
That's never happened.
No.
So, I mean, we've realized that, I mean, it says 6 months and then you have to ask for
It says a year and then you can ask for up to 6-month extension.
a year. It needs to be longer than a year.
Yeah, I agree. That's what I guess I'm saying is.
So we haven't enforced that. The town hasn't enforced that.
Well, you said are you going to talk to, the town manager and Dave? Or,
Yeah, eventually, I mean, there are a number of different,
because I'd like to know that information before we make a difference from my decision of what was or not, change my mind.
All right, so it looks like we've got a little homework to do with Gabe and Lex. I think we have just at a conceptual level, we do believe there needs to be time bounding. Question is how long, right, to be appropriate? If we don't think a year is appropriate, then is it a year and a half? Is it 2 years? I think we can figure that out,
well, glad to hear you talking about that. Let's take care of our
Yep.
last one here, and then there's a couple other things.
Okay.
Rose, what's his first name?
Logan.
Logan. Okay, this is, 26-17, the application for a new garage. He's not with us.
Field report, I incorrectly marked it as COA 2026-16, and it should have been 17 because he had 2 in, I think.
Well, why don't the people that were on that committee go over what it's about?
Okay. So Mike and I went and visited with Logan to look at the property, look at what he's planning and the design and where it sits. Overall, it is a garage structure set toward the back of the property. So, kind of lining the guidelines around where it needs to be in, relation to the property. As far as the design as conveyed both in the plans and by the applicant, it is a structure that is very similar in look to the siding of the house, the garage the structure that's there. So the applicant intends to, based on his, our discussion with us and what he's put in the application, is to build, a 20 by 24 structure with a 612 roof. Similarly, decorated, painted, trimmed out to the house and the existing structure, garage structure that's there. So from a design perspective, it, from scale, where it sat on the property, how it looked relative to the existing house, the window design that he conveyed, door design, are all similar to, what's already in place on the property. As well as any embellishments at the peaks of the, where the roof comes together right underneath the point. He's got them on the existing house, and intends to keep a similar look so that there's consistency. It also indicated they're going to be repainting the house and the existing structure, so it's all going to get fresh paint being the same. I didn't see any necessary issue relative to it. The one thing that kind of popped up is the lower portion of the structure right toward the ground. We want corrugated metal underneath the windows to the ground. He has that today on his deck that's on the back of the house. It's shorter, obviously, because the deck's lower to the ground. That would be the one difference from the main house and the existing garage from a look perspective. That's just a general overview of what we saw, what we heard.
For all those things here, it's asking for.
Yeah, it seems acceptable based on the ask and based on other structures on the property and the congruence of it where it sits. So
No, it's interesting because, I mean, there is a garage there now.
He's converting that, I believe, into more, not a living space, but workshop space as opposed to, at least that's what he conveyed.
Yeah.
As opposed to garage space. There's a plastic shed and a little wood shed he said will be removed, as part of this construction project. So,
And that's good.
yeah.
Yeah.
So overall, I mean, I didn't see any issues. I'll let Mike comment on anything that, that he saw or maybe, took notes against that were,
No, you covered it.
All right. There we go. Questions from the,
I don't have any, I think it's acceptable.
And so the LP smart side, that's a synthetic.
yeah,
That's the same stuff that's on the garage in the house now.
yeah, on the garage. Yeah, the house, I don't know. I didn't go pick it up.
Bruce Spearheller built that place. Yeah.
Flat siding, still with a similar look as the existing structures on the property. Any questions for us? Yeah.
So there's a picture of,
That's the garage that's there.
What's it, paper?
yeah, I've got it now.
If that's the case, then I think we're ready to entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion for the approval of COA 2026-17 for 622 North Gunnison Street based on the design and alignment with the guidelines for the Historic Preservation Commission. They generally fit the guidelines and,
Just say it's a garage.
garage. Make a motion to approve the garage
I second that motion.
As proposed.
as proposed.
I second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. The last comments with regard to what we're doing here, then let's have a roll call vote on approval of that motion.
Jared,
Yes.
Yes.
Judd,
Yes.
Kenny,
Yes.
Mike, yes.
Okay. Okay, we're done with the formal parts here. Referring to that same property there. When I had a discussion with him about fences that he wanted there. I suggested the possibility of him having a lower fence between his property and the big empty lot that's there right now. That lot is apparently still owned by the Hills. What's the name of the restaurant here that's closed?
Lauren Hill,
Yeah, Lord.
Yeah. they got a lot for sale.
And she's been communicating with him, telling him that they plan to build workforce housing there. He thinks that she's trying to, something that he probably wouldn't like right there. Okay, yeah, the main thing, I don't think we have, let's see. The update on architectural surveys, I think I wrote to you guys. I was very happy to see what Tina's been doing with all the survey properties. I don't know whether any of you take the time to look, but they're online now are not only the contributing properties, but also the non-contributing properties, which we haven't had available for years. Because I mean, we used to have a website that had all that stuff on it. And that was taken away by one of the town managers here that had a break with the town and whatnot. We now have all those back on. There's still a number of corrections to be made. And, I haven't, I know what a lot of, or I can find what a lot of those corrections should be. I haven't had time to work on that stuff. There's both corrections, um, and there's about 20 of the non-contributing buildings on that list that have updated architectural surveys that were done in 2019, 2020. And so those will be, the ones that are on there now will be replaced by newer ones. Some of those have recommendations, or half of those have recommendations from the historian that made the evaluations that they could be listed as contributing properties in the historic district, locally contributing properties, which is a designation that we don't have on any properties here except for the railroad car, which is coming back here today. Today, yeah. That was, I won't go into it all now, but that was one of the things that we've done over the past 3 or 4 years is get that local, the ordinance changed to allow local designations so that if property owners wanted to have that, it is possible. It's not a real popular notion here, but there can be reasons for people wanting to do that. I could conceivably consider that with my house, which is non-contributing, but has a portion of it that is very old and would be contributing except for the addition on the house. And there would be reasons to want to do that. The main thing I want to convey right now is I have just been swamped with stuff. I've had both of the ladies that I had lined up to work in the store have not been able to do it because of illness and injuries and stuff like that. Silas and I have been having to take pretty much all of it. I can't continue as chair. I mean, for the rest of this year, especially if I'm going to spend time on these fixing up the architectural surveys and getting that organized, the time that I need to spend on that. I don't have time to organize the meetings. I'm going to ask Kenny to take over from that.
Happy to do it. You guys don't mind if I'm gonna be remote for part of it?
That's okay. The other thing is that if my tentative plans do pan out, I may well be going to India for 3 or 4 months over the winter. We'll not be able to keep up with things from over there.
Yeah, just let me know. I mean, I know there's a lot of stuff that goes on in the background that needs to be taken care of.
We'll need to sit down and talk about a number of things.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Thanks.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you. And thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
That's true.
Well, I've also had some health issues that I need to deal with and just, it's too much. I mean, getting the organization of the meetings and I'll have you. I think we can go, you come with me as I sign. I think I can do this right after the meeting.
Okay.
Come with me and I'll show you how I sign off on these things.
All right.
When they're done. Okay, well then let's leave it at that for right now. And it is 9:22 a.m. and we will formally close the Historic Preservation Commission meeting for today. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Joe, I can appreciate what you're doing. Gang, I'm very.
It's been a very interesting,
Yeah. Good.
no, okay, let me make sure. Audio, am I shutting on audio? No. How do I do this?
There's an end button at the bottom right.
All right. double X on it.
In
That's why
meeting